Hey guys, it's Katie, and today I'm going to be talking about the theory that I briefly mentioned in my last video about the alien experiment, and that is the theory that we are a simulation. So, basically how that correlates to my alien theory is that we are not really an experiment per se, we are just a game. There are aliens all around the world and they are bored, and so they keep creating new characters and they just want to play a game. And so basically, Sims characters, they're the easiest and they're the to explain. They don't know that they're in a game. They don't have really the brain power. They don't have a brain, but they can't think, oh hey, I'm in a game, I'm being controlled by someone behind a screen. They just do as the codes tell them to do based on what that person behind the screen does. And that could be all that we are. It's just a bunch of codes and a screen, and there could be someone behind that screen pressing buttons and making us do whatever they please. And so I think that's really weird. Another thing is it explains things such as glitches, like deja vu. Scientists are unable to explain deja vu. They just don't understand. Usually scientists they have more than one theory within one thing, but they just have no idea how to even explain where to even start with deja vu. So this would make a lot of sense that the only thing explaining deja vu is a simulation, so it makes it that much more believable. Also, the Mandela effect. If you don't know what the Mandela effect is, basically, whenever Nelson Mandela died, a lot of people, and by a lot I don't mean 10,000, I mean millions of people around the world, thought that Nelson Mandela had already died. And it was talked about a lot. People were like, I swear he died years ago. You know, he's been dead. People were like, oh hey, Nelson Mandela died. Oh yeah, he died a long time ago. No he didn't, he just died today. And it would blow people's minds. I might make a separate video about the Mandela effect because it makes me kind of mad, honestly, because I'm like, oh, I remember it being this way, but whatever. Some of them I don't remember being the way that they say they were, but it just depends on the person, depends on what they remember. And basically, I'll get into it in another video, but another example of a Mandela effect would be things such as the Berenstain Bears, but it's really Berenstain. It's not Berenstain, even though we all grew up saying Berenstain Bears, and we all remember looking at the movies and the books, and it said Berenstain Bears, and that's what you would say whenever you talk to, like I would say, hey grandma, let's watch the Berenstain Bears. She'd say, okay, and she'd put the Berenstain Bears in, but it's Berenstain, and that is very frustrating. But it could explain things like that, because no one knows how to explain the Mandela effect. So, it also explains, there's a video of a basketball game, and all the members in the game run to one side of the court. They all stop at the exact same time, and there's just an awkward, like, second and a half, maybe 2 seconds. I'm really bad with time. But there's just an awkward pause with everyone, and then they all go in the direction at the exact same time. It's not like a effect where some people go and then others, and then the last group, it's not in groups, it's all at the same time, same direction. It's just really weird. It caught the eye of a lot of people, especially me. It's just very creepy and weird. Basically, two people that believe in this theory is Elon Musk and Neil deGrasse Tyson. Elon Musk explained in an interview how he has talked about this theory tons of times. People always ask him about it. It's something that he just can't get out of. Like, people are always having a conversation with him. However, he does believe it. He likes it. He doesn't complain. But, basically, the theory explains our purpose in life, or simulation. Whatever it is that we are living in, it explains our purpose. Because, you know, that's just a question often asked. Why are we here? What's our purpose? Our purpose is to be entertainment of whoever is controlling us and whoever is behind that screen. A theory that goes along with the simulation theory, and so you have the alien experiment one, but then you also have one where people in the future are wanting to look at people in the past. So time travel will be a thing, most likely, if it's not already sometime in the future. Sorry, I have lizards and they're making noises. And So anyways, time travel will be a thing. People will be able to look at the past. So in years from now, people will say, hey, let's look at 2020 for reasonable. It's reasonable to look at 2020. It's a weird year. It's a crazy year. Lots of things happened so far just in these 4.5 months. So it'll probably be talked about in history classes. And they'll say, okay, kids, get your VR goggles. Let's put them on. Now let's go back to 2020. They'll put them on. They'll be one of us. And they'll be looking at it from our perspective. So that's what could be going on right now. Someone's bored in their basement and they are like, hey, let's put on these VR goggles because I have nothing better to do, and let's be someone in 1962 and 1833. Let's see how their point of view of everything was. And I want to live in a time like that, so if reincarnation's real, I hope I get to look at that, because that seems pretty cool, actually, to look at the past. And, but then, so there's those two things, but there's also just a random person. We had never been real people. We have always been characters, and that's all we'll ever be. It's just a person behind a screen, customized a character, and they're playing us. And then whenever game is over is when we die. Whenever they get bored with this is when we die. Whenever, like old DS games that we never finished the game of, they just close their DS and they're dead. Which I feel really bad about that, because I have tons of games that I never finished, and there's probably dead dogs on my games, and that's really sad. Anyways, in 2017, a group at the University of Washington proved that they could embed malicious computer codes into physical strands of DNA, which blows my mind. I don't even know how to, it makes me speechless. I really don't understand how that's even possible, how they could do that. It's crazy, and it totally goes along with the theory. It just makes a lot of sense that we would think that we're humans based on DNA. However, computers can't. It hurts my head thinking about it, because it makes it that much more believable, and it makes it that much more understandable. It just proves it more right, which I love. There's also a researcher that said the universe appears to be based on mathematical laws, just like a computer code, which could also explain the glitches. Something went wrong within those codes, and something happened, and then there's just a little glitch. Some people notice it, some people don't. And that's really weird as well. And it's kind of weird to think, as Elon Musk explained in one of his interviews, just years ago, we only had Pong, which was the two bars, the ball, going back and forth, trying to get it in the goal. And now we have virtual reality, which is pretty close to that simulation theory. So it's not long from now, sorry. It's not long from now until we actually do have stuff like that going on, simulations. And I read a quote, and it said, the only two reasons that we're not in a simulation that explain that is either humanity is annihilated before reaching the post-human state, or for some reason our descendants decide not to simulate their ancestors. So it's very unlikely that if we're not in a simulation now, we won't be in the future. And whenever people do decide to go back on our past, we'll just relive it. And so we're either fake now, or we will be at some point. And that's really weird to think about. Just trying to figure out life is weird in itself. No one really understands exactly, but these theories kind of keep it more interesting and understanding. I believe in it, and if I didn't explain it all that well, there's tons of videos on the internet about this. What really got me interested in this video was the Shane Dawson video that he made. However, it's 40 minutes long, and I just kind of took what he said plus a few more things and condensed it down into 10 minutes. So that way you don't have to sit here and listen to my voice for 40 minutes. I can't even listen to my voice for one. And, but basically, that's all for today. Next week I'll talk about the Mandela effect, maybe. Or maybe I'll talk about other. I'll decide that. But I will talk about the Mandela effect at some point. Some week. Either next week or the next week after that. So, I hope that this video and this theory kept your mind wondering. it sure keeps my mind wondering. I think about it tons of times, especially whenever it's 3 o'clock at night and or I guess in the morning, and I don't know what else to think. This crosses my mind a lot, along with other things. I'm just gonna spit out one more thing, and that's basically the theory that, you know, whenever you die, you see your last 7 seconds, or you see your whole life in 7 seconds. And what if you're dying right now, and you're in your 7 seconds? Which is like, oh, but this is a lot longer than 7 seconds. But whenever you dream, it feels a lot longer than it is. You know, it feels like hours of your lifetime, but really it's just like a 10-minute dream, if that. And so this could just be 7 seconds, really slow, and you're dying right now. You're on your deathbed. You're 80 years old, dying, but you're rewatching your life. That's that theory. My light turned off. That theory blows my mind as well. So that's something to keep you thinking, along with my simulation theory. So I hope you enjoyed this week's video, and I'll see you next week.